Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has confirmed that Timothy Foseu Mensah is allowed to leave in this January transfer window. Timothy Foseu Mensah joined our academy from Ajax in 2014. He has played 30 times for Manchester United. He's played 3 games this season. The only game he started was the Crystal Palace one, and we lost that game by 3-1 on the opening day of the season. Now, it recently said that Timothy Foseu Mensah rejected a 3.5-year deal. It does mention that Mensah and Hertha have been interested in him and they're willing to pay a small fee. I think in April last year we triggered a 1-year extension on his contract. Timothy Foseu Mensah can play as a centre-half, he can play as a full-back and a defensive midfielder. And he is the age of 23. So that's the breaking news on him. Now I want to delve into some news on Paul Pogba. So Ed Woodward is preparing to enter contract talks with Paul Pogba and his agent Mino Raiola. Paul Pogba has got around 18 months left on his current contract. Don't forget, earlier on in the season we triggered that 1-year extension on his contract, so he's under contract with Man United until June 2022. Now Paul Pogba has had a long running transfer saga. He's been relentlessly linked with a return to Juventus. Don't forget, Paul Pogba did endure 4 good years with Juventus. Swap deals have been high on the agenda as well. He said recently that Juventus offered us Aaron Ramsey in a swap deal for Pogba. It also mentioned that they offered us Douglas Costa as part of a swap deal for Pogba, but we rejected that. But he said we are interested in an exchange deal for Pogba. Paul Pogba's also been relentlessly linked with a move to Real Madrid. PSG have recently reignited their interest, and Barcelona and Inter Milan have been in for him before. This is Paul Pogba's 5th season at the football club since he rejoined. He's made over 100 appearances for Man United in all competitions. He's our most expensive signing at the moment because we paid £89 million for him. He's won 3 trophies at the club. That was the Europa League, the League Cup and the Community Shield. Don't forget, we had him when he was a lot younger under the Sir Alex Ferguson era, but we had to let him go due to limited appearances. Now, like I've updated you recently, Paul Pogba's agent Mino Raiola told 2 Sport last month that Pogba's career at Manchester United is over. He said he's unhappy and he has to leave. And he's got no intentions of signing a new contract. Then obviously Mino Raiola made a fresh statement. But Solskjaer was furious with Mino Raiola's announcement because it was just before the game against RB Leipzig. Don't forget, Pogba had an ankle injury earlier on in the season. Solskjaer did confirm that ankle injury was totally comparison to the one that he had last season, because he was out for the vast majority of last season. Now, don't forget, during the last international break, like I've updated you on quite a few of my videos, Pogba made quite a few comments saying like this season has been the most difficult period in his career. He was saying like playing for France is a breath of fresh air. And in general, he was talking about his Man United struggles this season, but reflects on them comments, he did receive a lot of criticism. And the France manager Didier Deschamps was talking a lot about him. But to Paul Pogba's credit, he's done really, really well in a lot of his games since he's come back from that ankle injury. Solskjaer did say earlier on this season that Pogba can be convinced to stay at the club if the club win trophies. But don't forget, last summer, Paul Pogba's agent Mino Raiola came out and said that, Man United want to keep Pogba at the club and there's a possibility chance that we will extend his contract. So that's the breaking news on him. But quite a few players are going to leave Man United in this January transfer window. Don't forget Ole Gunnar Solskjaer not so long ago held talks with around 6 players that he wants to offload. So yeah, Timothy Fosu-Mensah's one by the looks of things. I think we'll also offload Jesse Lingard. Jesse Lingard doesn't get in our team now regularly. Last time I read up about Jesse Lingard, it said that West Ham were in talks with his agent. He said towards the end of last year that Real Sociedad were talking with Jesse Lingard's agent. It also mentioned that Sheffield United were interested, Villa were interested, and Celtic and Rangers were interested. I think Lingard's last goal was in the 2-0 win against Leicester on the final day of last season. Don't forget there was a period where he didn't score 1 goal or provide 1 assist in the Premier League for over a year. But Lingard has been part of the club for several years. I can also see us offloading Phil Jones. Phil Jones has been a long servant at the club. This is now his 10th season at Manchester United. And he has been very inconsistent. I think he's still injured at the moment, but he has been with us since the Sir Alex Ferguson era. Don't forget, Ollie confirmed yesterday that Sergio Romero and Marcus Rojo are free to leave in this January transfer window. Solskjaer said their contracts won't be extended. Sergio Romero is obviously now our 3rd choice goalkeeper. Romero's endured a good 5 years or so at the club. We got him on a free from San Pandora back in 2015. And as for Marcus Rojo, he's never really established himself as a first team regular since he came in. And Rojo's been at Man United since 2014. We paid just over £16 million for him from Sporting Lisbon. Last season, he was out on loan with Estudiantes. I think Odion Ighalo will also leave the football club. I think his loan expires at the end of this month. Ighalo's obviously going to be involved in the game tonight. That's been confirmed by Solskjaer, so he will be reuniting with his former club. Now, we got Odion Ighalo on deadline day in January last year. The main explanation why we brought him into the club was to get a cover-up for Marcus Rashford, because at the time Marcus Rashford was out with that back injury. I think we'll also loan Daniel James out. The last time I read about that, it said that West Brom want him on loan. It also mentions that Leeds United have obviously been in for him. Daniel James has lost his place in the team. We got him in June 2019 in a deal worth £18 million. There's obviously rumours of Brandon Williams going out on loan, because Brandon Williams is now our 3rd choice left back following the arrival of Alex Telles. Shields Gazetta recently said that Newcastle have agreed a deal in principle to get Brandon Williams on loan. I think it mentioned a 6-month loan, but it also says that Southampton want him on loan. Williams seldom plays now, but he did play quite a lot of games last season. That's only because Luke Shaw had a couple of periods out with injury. Williams did break into our first team last season. Was it during the summer? He signed a 4-year contract with Man United. And at the start of this season, we give him that number 33 shirt. And there's obviously quite a few players that will let go in the summer. Obviously, we're going to focus on the incomings though, as well as the outgoings. You know, we are looking to make more signings. Now, Solskjaer's been let down in the transfer window again. And this January transfer window is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's 5th transfer window as Manchester United manager. But Woodward has said that he will back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Woodward has come out several times to support Solskjaer, despite us having a poor start to the season and despite us getting knocked out of the Champions League. Like I said, our board have got a soft stance on Solskjaer. The main explanation is because he is a club legend, but disregarding being a club legend, the board would be a lot more ruthless on him. But yeah, last summer, you know, Solskjaer showed his frustration towards the board quite a few times because we missed out on all of his priority targets. But, you know, let's be honest, the board haven't backed any of the managers that we've had since Sir Alex Ferguson left. You know, Woodward's obviously been at the football club since 2012, and the Glazers have been at the football club since 2005. Now, obviously, you know the news on Moises Caicedo. I gave you the news on him yesterday. Reports in Ecuador said that Manchester United are set to miss out on Moises Caicedo. And Fabrizio Romano has also confirmed that. Reports from Italy said that Everton are leading the race now for Moises Caicedo. They're willing to pay around 5.5 million. That's what Independiente del Valle are demanding. Now it actually mentions that Brighton have hijacked our move, and it says that Chelsea and West Ham are interested in him. But it said last month we were looking to finalise a deal in the region of 4.5 million, and it would include a 20% sell-on clause. And Moises Caicedo did reveal that his favourite club is Manchester United. So he isn't coming into the club now, unfortunately. He made his debut for Independiente del Valle around 15 months ago, and he's played around 4 times for Ecuador. But Independiente del Valle recently denied that we made contact over a move for Moises Caicedo. You already know the news on Jack Grealish, don't you? Like I've said, Man United could sign Jack Grealish, but only if we sell Paul Pogba. Villa want at least £90 million for Jack Grealish. Don't forget we was in for him during the summer, but Villa's valuation was £80 million and that put us off. And we also had element of concerns about where he would fit in the team. You know the news on Max Aarons. You obviously know the news on Jadon Sancho and Erling Haaland. But yeah, Solskjaer has said we need to make a few more signings if we are to be title contenders. Now, there's 3 trophies that we can pursue this season. You know, we can win the Premier League, we can win the FA Cup, and we can also win the Europa League. It's very imperative that we do win a trophy this season. We want to get our first trophy on the board under Ole. We haven't won a trophy now for just over 4 years. And like I've said, you know, we are certainly in the title race. You know, if we do beat Burnley on the 12th, we will be 3 points clear of Liverpool. Burnley's obviously our game in hand. We were supposed to be playing them on the opening day of this season, but obviously it got postponed. And if we do beat Liverpool, we will be 6 points clear. You know, Solskjaer, you know, insists that we're not in the title races yet, but he says if we are still challenging in March, he'll start to believe that we are in the title race. We'll certainly win another title at some point, but I'm very sceptical that it will be this season. You know, if we do win the Premier League, it will be our first Premier League title since 2013, and it will be our 21st title overall. But like I've said, we cannot beat the big teams, and that's been proven this season so far under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But if we finished in the top 4, the top 3 this season, and we won a trophy, I think that would represent a very good season for us, and that would give us something to build on. We have got to give Ollie credit, like I've mentioned on my recent videos, because he's got us joint top of the Premier League table. You know, he obviously got us to the semi-finals of the EFL Cup. It was a shame that we did lose to Manchester City, because if we'd have beaten them, Solskjaer would have reached his first final as Man United manager. But City was always going to be tough, like I said. You know, City are a good team. You know, they've reached their 4th consecutive League Cup final. You know, it's 2nd season in a row that they've beaten us in the semi-final. And that's 4 semi-final defeats now in a row under Ollie, because we lost 3 semi-finals last season. You've got to give Solskjaer a lot of credit for what he did last season, his first full season at the club, because he got us qualification for the Champions League, he got us 3rd, and he guided us to 3 semi-finals like I mentioned. You know, we are unbeaten in our last 10 league games. Went on a 19-game unbeaten run in all competitions last season. We've been very, very good away from home. We haven't lost away from home in the Premier League this season yet. But like I mentioned to you yesterday, there's some Man United fans that are Ollie in, and there's some Man United fans that are Ollie out. Certainly, earlier on in the season, I was very, very critical of Solskjaer, and I was demanding him out of the football club with how poor we was. But with how good we've been in recent months, my perception has started to change on Solskjaer. Like I said to you, the thing that concerns me about him is his decision making, because he does make mistakes in a lot of games, and that's what's obviously cost us. But there again, there's some games where his decision making is quite good, but his decision making's got to be good persistently, not just sometimes. And you can say he hasn't really got that proven pedigree as a manager. We obviously want Solskjaer to succeed as Manchester United manager. You can say he's still got quite a few things to learn on the job. You can say there is some stuff he has learned, you know, reflecting how long he's been at the club. Solskjaer's been Manchester United manager now for just over 2 years. We appointed him in December 2018 to replace Mourinho, and he's been permanent Man United manager since March 2019. We give him the job permanently, reflecting on what he did in that 3-month period when he was the interim manager. But Solskjaer has been close to getting the sack a few times at Man United. You know, you can say he was lucky not to be sacked after us getting knocked out of the Champions League. You can say he was lucky not to be sacked after our 6-1 defeat to Tottenham. You can say he was lucky not to be sacked at the first part of last season. You know what I mean? But yeah, he has been under pressure quite a few times. And don't forget, Mauricio Pochettino was the favourite to replace him. Pochettino's out of the equation now, because obviously he's PSG's manager. Massimiliano Allegri, he's been in our agenda a few times. Julian Nagelsmann, he's been in our agenda before, and so too has Thomas Tuchel. But if we are to be winless in our next 4 or 5 games, and I think the pressure will be back on Ollie. But when we have been inconsistent, you know, not all the blame stems from Solskjaer anyway. You know, there's obviously certain players that have got to take responsibility. You know, Solskjaer has made some good signings since he got appointed in as Man United manager. He's spent, over £200 million at the club, and he has got rid of a lot of players since he got recommended in as well, like I've mentioned loads of times. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is our 4th permanent manager since Sir Alex Ferguson retired. 3 managers have been sacked since Ferguson retired, and that was David Moyes. He was sacked after 10 months. He's enjoyed the shortest tenure at the club. We finished 7th under the Moyes era. That's the lowest we've ever finished in the Premier League era. We sacked Louis van Gaal after 2 years, despite him winning the FA Cup. And we sacked Jose Mourinho after 2.5 years, despite him winning, 3 trophies in his first season. I'll give you the reasons it didn't work out under Mourinho is because he had bad disputes with the board. He had bad disputes with the top players, such as Martial, Shaw, Rashford and Pogba. And the board basically just weren't backing the signings that I wanted to recommend into the football club. And we've spent over £1 billion on players since Sir Alex Ferguson left, and we brought a good 36-37 players in since he retired. And we have made mistakes in the last 7.5-8 years, and that's one of the main explanations why we have been so inconsistent. When Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got appointed in as Man United manager, I said, didn't I? He had lots to do. He's still got quite a few things to do now. Obviously, he was inheriting a lot of deadwood, and he's got rid of some of the deadwood to his credit, but he's still inheriting some deadwood now. The vast majority of this team is Jose Mourinho's. Like I've said to you before, no one will replicate Sir Alex Ferguson's legacy, and no one will last as long as Ferguson did. That's something we have got to accept. But yeah, hopefully we can beat Watford tonight, bounce back from that 2-0 loss against Man City. We should be beating Watford. Like I've said, Watford are in the Championship. They're sitting 6th. They got relegated from the Premier League last season. Their current manager is Cisco. He was appointed in not so long ago because Watford had Vladimir Ivic. At one point, he was sacked last month, was he? And at one point they had Nigel Pearson, and he was with Watford for several years. We've played Watford in the FA Cup on 6 previous occasions. Like I mentioned on the preview, the most recent was April 2007 when we beat them 4-1 in the semi-final. So hopefully we can progress to the 4th round of the competition. Like I said, after Watford, it's Burnley. We should be beating Burnley as well, but they've been good in recent weeks. But the game against Liverpool on the 17th is the massive one. It's the biggest game in English football because us and Liverpool are the 2 most successful clubs historically. But like I've said, there is good players at Manchester United. You've got Marcus Rashford. That's obviously very, very good. You've got Edison Cavani. That's enjoyed a fantastic start to his Manchester United career. He's got 1 game to serve, and that's tonight, and then he will be back. Solskjaer was talking about Edison Cavani not so long ago, and he says we're already looking to extend his contract. Solskjaer said he's definitely a starter. And Solskjaer revealed the first thing that Cavani asked him when he came into the club, and that's whether he could wear the number 7 shirt. I've been impressed with Anthony Martial recently because he's proven to be more clinical in front of goal. Earlier on in the season, he was out of form because he wasn't being clinical enough. Martial was good last season, and he was good in his debut season under Louis van Gaal. Martial's been at the club now for over 5 years. Sometimes we play him out wide and sometimes we play him centrally. Solskjaer was the one that gave Martial that number 9 shirt. I think Mason Greenwood's also a good player. He came on against City recently, but he hasn't been playing a lot of football recently, has he, Mason Greenwood? Ollie's been defending him a lot this season. Earlier on in the season, Greenwood had personal issues. He had an injury at one point and he was out with illness. At the start of this season, we give him that number 11 shirt. I think Donny van de Beek's a good player. That's when he plays. He seldom starts in the Premier League. So far, he's only started 2 games in the league, and that was against West Ham and Southampton. Now, Ronald de Boer, like updated you recently, has urged Donny van de Beek to leave Man United in this January transfer window to boost his chances for the Euros. Solskjaer recently said that Donny van de Beek will have to wait for his Man United chance, and Solskjaer insists that he's got a bright future at the club. And he tips Donny van de Beek to emulate Fred and Lindelof by succeeding at the club. But Donny van de Beek has recently been instructed to hold talks with Man United to clarify his role at the club. A lot of Man United fans were infuriated when Solskjaer brought Van de Beek on in the City game with just 2 or 3 minutes to go. He can play in 3 different roles, and we got him in a deal worth £40 million. We paid £35 million up front, and there was £5 million in add-ons. At Ajax, he was predominantly a box-to-box midfielder, but you can put him in that number 10, and you can also put him out wide. Like I said, I think Paul Pogba's done very, very well recently. I think McTominay can be good when he wants to be. His best game in a Man United shirt was the 6-2 win against Leeds, because obviously McTominay scored twice in the first 3 minutes, and he also got an assist, and he was everywhere on the pitch. McTominay will be at Man United for a while. I've got my element of concerns about him. Just after the first lockdown last year, he signed a 5-year contract with Man United. Matic, I wouldn't say he's a good player. He can be good when he wants to be, but I think he's one player that could leave in the summer transfer window. My reservation about Matic is that he is obviously a slow player. He's always been a slow player, and obviously he's in his 30s now. But some United fans would actually prefer Matic ahead of McTominay. Matic is actually ahead of Donny van de Beek, surprisingly. We got Matic in a deal worth £40 million from Chelsea back in 2017. Fred, he's also enjoyed very good games this season. He's not world class, but he is a good player. He shows some good attacking intent, and his defensive contribution's good. I just think he needs to read his game better. We got Fred in a deal worth £52 million from Shakhtar Donetsk a few years ago. We got him under the Jose Mourinho era. Fred never really got his opportunities under Mourinho, but with how good he's been under Ole, he's confounded his critics wrong. I think Luke Shaw's also a very, very good left back. He's impressed me under Solskjaer. The way he's got forward, he's made some good overlapping runs, defensively being good, and he's put some good crosses into the box. My only element of concern about Shaw is that he's injury prone. Luke Shaw's enjoyed a good 6 years or so now at Man United. Got him for £30 million from Southampton back in 2014. I think Alex Telles is good. I think he'll be a good signing for us. He's had some good games, but he's also enjoyed a couple of bad games since he's come in. We got him in a deal worth £15.4 million. I've also been very, very impressed with Harry Maguire this season in a lot of games. Good to see him bounce back from his early season troubles, because he had that incident in Greece before the start of the season. Harry Maguire, when he's been good, he's been effective in the air. He's showed that ability to play out from the back, and he's been good from set pieces. He certainly wasn't worth, though, the £80 million that we got him for. He is the most expensive centre-half in the world at the moment, and he's our current captain. Eric Bay, since he started playing again, I've been very, very impressed with him. I like the way he plays out from the back, and his composure is good, and he can be effective in the air. I certainly prefer him ahead of Lindelof. My only element of concern about Bay is that he's injury prone. And I think Wan-Bissaka, he's also a good right back. He's enjoyed some good games this season, but he's also enjoyed some bad games. We've just got concerns about Wan-Bissaka's lack of attacking intent and his distribution. But when he's playing well, he can get forward, he can get in good positions, he can put good crosses into the box. He scored 1 goal for Man United, and that was the 4-1 win against Newcastle earlier on in the season. And I think, David De Gea, he's getting back to his best. De Gea's been a long servant at the football club. This is his 10th season now at Man United, and he's made over 500 appearances in all competitions. He will remain our number 1 for now, but I think at some point Dean Henderson will be our number 1. So anyway guys, that's everything to update you today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.